Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2015 Toyota Prius C, we're going to be taking a look at the Swagman XTC2 platform style bike rack. So my first impressions of the bike rack on the back of the Prius C is that I think it's going to be really straightforward and look good, especially for those of you that are looking for a bike rack that really won't stand out too much. I think this would be a great choice. Now, one of my favorite things about this setup is the simplicity of it, how easy it's going to be to use. It's going to secure our bike down in 3 spots. So we're going to have a strap here on the front tire, a frame hook here in the center, and a strap down here as well on our back tire. With that being said, let's go ahead and take our bike off so we can have a better look at the rack itself. So first thing you're going to want to do is remove the straps. Those are really straightforward. They're just going to pop off. You kind of just let them hang off to the side for now. Do the same thing here at the back. And then once we get to the center, we can loosen up our frame hook. So whenever you do this, you want to be sure to have a good grip on your bike because there's going to be nothing holding it. So in our case, the one here on the back, you have to raise this one up to allow this one to raise. Real simple, just a little button there. You can scoot it all the way up. Now there's a few different ways you can get your bike off the rack. Some people are comfortable with kind of leaning it in and sneaking it out this way. Other people find that kind of cumbersome, as I do. So what I like to do is take the center mass and actually fold it down out of the way. It just gives us a lot more space. There's just a pen here. Pull that out. Then you're able to push it down on one side or the other. And that'll give you all this space here where it's super easy to grab your bike and get it off the rack. So once you have your bike off, you can actually raise this back into that upright position. Simply just pop the pin back in there. Now I will say, for those of you that might have a little bit different of a seat, or these don't go up high enough to allow you to swing this down out of the way like I did, what you could always do too is just pop these right off. And so with these out of the way, this will swing down, give you a ton of space regardless of what style bike you have. So that's another way to get it off. So you have a bunch of different options there, and you can kind of figure out after some time what works best for you. But with that being said, whenever you're not using the rack, I would suggest taking your wheel straps and just securing these back down. That way they're not flopping around in the wind and we don't have to worry about anything happening to them. So one of the cool things about this rack is we have a few different ways on how we can store it. One being like this. There's nothing wrong with having your rack like this as you're driving around town, even without any bikes on it. But another way is to just fold this down out of the way. So not only does this move to give you better clearance to get your bikes off, but it also comes down to give you clearance to your hatch. That way when it's like this, you can still get in and out of the back of your Prius without really any interference. You're still able to reach in and get what you need in and out. Once you're done, you can close up your hatch. There's another way to store it as well. So the center mass will be back up in this position. And these arms can actually fold upright as well. So the way to get them is, again, just a pin. You pull that pin out, flip them up, and reinstall that pin. Same thing for the other side. And I really like it like this. I think it looks pretty cool. It's nice and tight to each other, and it doesn't take up a whole lot of space. Now, I will say sometimes these pens, especially when the rack is relatively new, can be a little tight. And so after you get a little use out of it though, everything will kind of loosen up and begin to get easier to get those pens in and out. Now regardless on what position the rack is in, it is going to take up the same amount of space on the back of your Prius. And that's just something you want to think about whenever you're pulling into your garage or a tight parking spot, something like that. So to figure out exactly how much, we'll go from the bumper to the very edge of the rack. And it's only 21 inches, so with the Prius C being a relatively short car and this not taking up a ton of space, I really don't see it giving you any issues when you do go to pull into your garage with that tight spotty. Now, something I do like is the fact that this rack has this raised shank here, and that's really important, especially for the cars like the Prius C that do ride relatively low to the ground. So this raised shank gives us a little bit of extra ground clearance, which definitely never hurts. The rack is going to work with the 1¼ by 1¼ receiver tube openings like we have here today on our Prius, but it also has the ability to work with the larger 2" by 2" receiver tube opening. So really gives us some versatility there. If you happen to have another vehicle in the household, chances are good this rack will work with it. It is going to come included with a anti-rattle bolt. What that's going to do is eliminate any slop or play here in the connection point. That's going to do a couple of things. It's going to keep the ride inside of your Prius nice and quiet and provide your bikes with a little more of a smooth ride as well. So to kind of give you an example on how that works, say if we're going down the road, hitting some bumps, you can see that the rack is going to move with our Prius C and not on its own. So at the end of the day, a rack you really can't go wrong with. It's super simple, not much to it, so it's going to function really well, and I think honestly it looks pretty good on the back of the Prius C.
Here it is on our test course. We'll start by going through the slalom. This is going to show us the side-to-side action, which simulates turning corners or evasive maneuvers. And finally, we have the full speed bumps, where we'll see the up and down action, which is just like driving out of a parking lot, garage, or driveway.
And that'll finish up our look at of the Swagman XTC2 platform style bike rack on our 2015 Toyota Prius C.